For what reason does a member rise?
To make a motion, Mr. Speaker,
State your motion, please.
I move that the remarks on HB 1635 be entered into the permanent journal.
What now?
1635,
1535?
1635
Okay.
in the permanent journal.
Oh, I was missing the words permanent journal. It is so echoey up here, and they won't give me a reflex speaker. Without objection, so ordered. For what reason does a member rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move to special order House Bill 1442 to the next order of business.
1442. Representative Kofal moves that to special order House Bill 1442 to the next order of business, and a division's been requested. Members, take your seats. The question is whether special order House Bill 1442 to the next order of business. This is a division vote. If you're in favor, press the green button. Opposed, press the red. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds.
Representative Gerard. Representative Guthrie. Representative Guthrie. I need a thumbs up or down, please. Representative Spilsbury. Representative Kaczynski.
Have all members present had an opportunity to vote, whether they used it or not? The House will attend to the state of the vote. 191 in the affirmative, 158 in the negative. 1442 is special ordered to now. For what reason does a member rise?
To make a motion, Mr. Speaker,
What's your motion?
I move to table HB 1442.
The Committee on Judiciary, to which was referred House Bill 1442 FN, an act limiting the use of certain facilities on the basis of sex and redefining the term gender identity. Having considered the same, report the same with the recommendation that the bill be referred for interim study. Representative Eric Chur for the committee. For what reason does a member rise?
To make a motion, Mr. Speaker,
State your motion, please.
I move to lay HB 1442 on the table, and I request a roll call vote.
Okay, Representative Wade moves to lay House Bill 1442 on the table. She requests a roll call. Is that sufficiently seconded? It is. This will be a roll call vote. Question is whether to lay House Bill 1442 on the table. Representative Wade is recognized for parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that this almost exact legislation has been vetoed 3 times by 2 different Republican governors, and if I know that we just passed 1 piece of duplicative legislation, we have 2 more next week and 1 coming over from the Senate, and if I know that it is not worth our time, my time, your time, everyone here's time, everyone in the Senate's time to continue to pass 5 identical bills, would I now press the green button to table this duplicative bill? Thank you.
Representative Leon is recognized for parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know what a woman is, and I believe that our law should also
House will
state...
be in order.
If I know what a woman is, and I believe that the law should also state what a woman is, would I then vote red to defeat this tabling motion so that we can move forward?
The motion is whether to lay House Bill 1442 on the table. This is a roll call vote. If you're in favor, press the green button. Opposed, press the red. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds. Have all members present had an opportunity to vote? The House will attend to the state of the vote. 163 in the affirmative, 186 in the negative. The motion fails. Representative Leon is recognized to speak against the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill was introduced to do something that for millennia was obvious: define what a woman is. As introduced, the bill defines female, male, modifies the definition and proper purpose of gender identity, requires certain government facilities to sex segregate for the protection or safety of women, and creates a willful trespass for men entering women's or girls' spaces. When I introduced this to the committee, I was responsive to questions that were raised, and I told the committee I was willing to change or remove the parts of the bill to resolve the concerns. I don't think I did a good job saying I was going to write the amendment, and I think they expected that they would have to do that work and therefore sent this to interim study. We have the floor amendment in the pocket so that we can move forward with this. So I would ask you to defeat the interim study motion, and we'll move quickly through this process to define what a woman is. Thank you.
Representative Wade is recognized to speak for the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to support the committee report of interim study. Last year, you all banned the health care that saved my life. This year, once again, you want to ban me from public restrooms. And I need you all to understand this is not just about restrooms. This is about banning trans people from participating in public life as ordinary citizens. In 1896, the Supreme Court said separate but equal was constitutional. We built separate bathrooms, separate schools, separate water fountains, and we told ourselves it was about the safety and comfort of protecting these groups from each other. It took 58 years to overturn that lie. Every generation in American history has found a new group to scapegoat. When it was no longer acceptable to target the Irish, when it was no longer acceptable to target Black Americans, and when we couldn't demonize Japanese Americans, we turned to gay people. And now, when homophobia is losing its political power, a new target has been unwillingly dragged into the crosshairs of politics: transgender people. And you tell yourselves you're doing this for the right reasons: for safety, for comfort, for privacy. But here's the thing: there will always be bad actors in every group of people. That is not a reason to discriminate against every last one of us. We should be targeting bad behavior by the individual, not making entire groups of people guilty by association. Can you imagine if every time a man committed a school shooting, we said all men should not be allowed to have guns because they're too dangerous? Can you imagine that?
The House will be in order.
Can you imagine that?
Now.
That's an insane argument, and it's exactly the argument that you are making for trans people. That is what systemic discrimination looks like here today. And it is exactly what made separate but equal wrong. Bathroom bans like this are, at their core, preventing me and people like me from participating in public life. You can't go to work. You can't go to school. I can't come to this building without having to use a restroom. Instead, I've been told that I should be relegated to the bathroom in the basement of the State House, as if treating me like a biohazard is anything but a purely targeted attack against trans people. This bill was pulled off consent, despite the committee recommending unanimously, bipartisanly, that it should be sent to interim study. Why did the committee do that? Well, it's because there are 5 bills identical to this, and they didn't want to waste our time by trying to pass all of them. But I guess 5 bills wasn't enough. There is a completely false dichotomy at the core of every one of these debates. We should absolutely take more action to address individual bad behavior, but giving rights to trans people does not take them away from others. Just as giving rights to Black Americans did not take them away from white Americans. So when you look me in the eye and you say, with all due respect, we need to take your rights because trans people are inherently a threat, that is not with all due respect. That is cruelty disguised as politeness. I was elected to solve problems: affordable housing, healthcare costs, lead poisoning, worker protections. But instead of debating those bills, I have to come up here every single time we have one of these and defend my right to exist. What a waste of time. What a waste of an opportunity to help people. When is enough enough? Please, dear God, end this cycle. Stop finding new groups to marginalize when the old targets become politically inconvenient. Vote against this bill, not because you agree with me, not because you understand what it's like to be trans, not because you understand trans healthcare, but because you understand that separate but equal has never been equal. And scapegoating people has never made anyone safer. I urge you to join me in voting yes on interim study. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I request a roll call vote.
Representative Wade requests a roll call. Is that sufficiently seconded? It is sufficiently seconded. This will be a roll call vote. Members, take your seats. Questions of Majority Committee Report of Interim Study on House Bill 1442. Representative Kofaltz is recognized for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know that this bill provides very, very clear definitions for what female is. Furthermore, if I know that there is a floor amendment forthcoming, should we happen to overturn this interim study motion, And further, if I would like to provide the body on the other side of the wall with multiple options so that they can determine which language is the most appropriate to pass and send along to the governor, would I then press the red button so that an alternate motion may be brought forward? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Chur is recognized for parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that this bill attempts to define a binary biological version of gender, but actually ends up referencing 4 separate and ambiguous invasive approaches, none of which could be used in the practical community situations outlined in the bill, and if I know that this bill requires any community wishing to preserve their gender-neutral restrooms and facilities to establish a policy by supermajority of voters governing gender-specific bathroom policy, turning the endless debates that we have had on this topic here into many divisive local debates with no guidance. And finally, if I know that this bill establishes the criminal assertion of false gender identity, but references RSA 21:3, which specifically defines gender neutrality in New Hampshire law as the standard for committing that crime, then would I now press the green button to support the committee's unanimous vote of interim study for this bill? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions of Majority Committee report of interim study. This is a roll call vote. If you are in favor, press the green button. Opposed, press the red. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds.
Representative Markell. Representative Mandelbaum.
Have all members present had an opportunity to vote? The House will attend to the state of the vote. 163 in the affirmative, 182 in the negative. The motion fails. Representative Leon moves to pass and offers floor amendment 1054. Again. Representative Wade is recognized to speak against the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to start off by just talking about the absolute nightmare of enforcement that this bill is going to cause. It mandates, per the amendment, that any bathroom or locker room in a public school or a municipal-owned building has to be enforced with a bathroom ban of some kind. And I'm going to ask the question that I have not heard a single answer to in the years that this bill has been debated, which is, how do you enforce this? How do you prove here today that I am transgender? You can't. You can't do it. How? Tell me how. If anybody can answer that question, other than just citing me saying it publicly, because that's kind of cheating in my view. But imagine that you are in a restaurant and you see me walk into the women's room and you don't know me, but you think you have a suspicion that I might be trans, and you pull me aside and you say, hey, you shouldn't be going in there. I think you're trans. And I say, no, I'm not. What next? Are you going to ask for my driver's license? Are you going to ask me to drop my pants and do an inspection? How do you definitively prove that? And I know that there's no answer other than something super invasive, because this has happened in many other states, some of which have passed bathroom bans and some of which that haven't. In Massachusetts recently, there was a cis woman going into a hotel, and she was using the restroom, but somebody said, I think you look too masculine. I think you might be transgender. and they called the police, and they were wrong. This has happened dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And it will happen again, and it will happen again and again and again here in New Hampshire if we pass this, because people will think they're right when they are not. You cannot tell who is transgender just by looking at them. I could say that our speaker here happens to be a trans man. I don't know if he is, but I can't prove that definitively. I'm just saying, I can't prove it one way or the other. I can't. There's nothing that I could say to him if I just saw him out in a public space that wouldn't be invasive. Because guess what? Trans men have beards. They have mustaches. They've had top surgery. They don't look like women. And when they go to the men's restroom, it's fine. And when I go into the women's room, it's been fine. For 6 years, I have not once been stopped because this is not a problem that is actually being addressed. No matter what the words on this paper say to define biological sex in terms of functional ovarian tissue or a certain type of chromosome, are you going to DNA test people that go into the restroom to prove it? You can't, because nobody's going to do that. And we're having this debate here. Imagine this debate happening in every municipality and every school in New Hampshire has to figure out how to interpret the words on this paper and enforce this policy, because this is a local mandate. It's not local control. It mandates every school has to do some form of this policy. It is. And they have never once specified how to enforce it, because they say, oh, it's up to local decision makers. They'll figure it out. How? What are they going to do? I haven't seen a single example of any kind of how a municipality or a school would actually enforce this. Because there isn't one. They can't cite a single one. I will give you all of the money in my wallet. I promise it's not much, but I will give it all to you if you can prove here and now, right now, today, whether I am trans. Okay, I'll take you up on that. That's my point here, is this is a nightmare. This is going to hurt cis people. It's going to hurt trans people a lot. It's just going to create fear. There is absolutely, and I would welcome if the next speaker would like to say a single way that they would actually enforce this. Because just asking somebody, that doesn't work. If they see their license, maybe they don't have their license on them, or maybe they have switched it. It doesn't make sense. So I urge you once again, and I will continue urging you on every one of these bills, to vote down this amendment and to vote down the ought to pass motion. Thank you.
Representative Leon's recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment raises concerns raised by the minority during the bill hearing. Most importantly, it removes the willful trespass. And while the idea of having an enforcement mechanism when male genitalia is exposed in the women's bathroom would be great, I was willing to get rid of that because there were concerns about exactly how to deal with willful trespass. Now let me tell you what is really, really important in this amendment. First off, it removes the requirements regarding those local requirements referenced by my friend from Brentwood. This actually would allow that there's truth in advertising, that if something is advertised and listed as a women's, girls' bathroom, that means it's only for women and girls, and it defines women and girls. If it's an all-gender restroom, anybody can go in, and maybe we need to see more of those. I don't know. But if a little girl sees a sign on the wall that says women, she shouldn't expect to see a penis in that room.
The House will come to order.
When gender identity was added to our law in 2019, it stated that gender-related identity shall not be asserted for any improper purpose. I'm sorry, I'm going to wait until it's quiet. Thank you. Sorry for preempting you, Mr. Speaker.
In this chamber, we always hear things we disagree with. Let's just get through this with respect. Continue.
When gender identity was inserted in our statutes in 2019, it was stated that it cannot be used for an improper purpose. I would say that exposing male genitalia in a women's locker room or bathroom is an improper purpose. This bill cleans up that language. This floor amendment states that that's an improper purpose, and this cleans this up so that our little girls are no longer living in fear. So I would ask that you support women and girls in this state and vote for this floor amendment. Thank you.
Will the member yield for a question?
Yes.
The member yields. You may inquire.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can you explain how you would prove that I am transgender? In a public setting, like a bathroom?
I would actually say that you've hit a milestone that for a long time was a metric and a rite of passage in the transgender community of looking in a way where nobody would really take a second look at you and expect that you are transgender. I think that you look beautiful, but I also recognize that there are some people that use this in an inappropriate way. We've had other representatives in this chamber previously, some of whom now will be living at one address for a long time, that did not have the grace and demeanor that you do. And this is not about you. I believe that you are a good actor. I believe that you are a good person. But I also recognize that right now, if somebody drops their pants in the women's bathroom and there is male genitalia, they cannot be asked to leave because that is interpreted as a human rights violation.
May I ask a follow-up? Fair enough.
Member does not yield.
Does she take another question?
For what reason does the member rise?
To ask a question of the speaker?
Of me?
Of her.
Of her.
Oh, sorry. I think in the interest of time.
The member does not yield. Okay. Question is on the adoption of Amendment 1054. Representative Leon requests a roll call. Is that sufficiently seconded? It is. This will be a roll call vote. Members, take your seats. The question is the adoption of Floor Amendment 1054H. Representative Wade is recognized for parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that this amendment does absolutely nothing to address the issue of enforcement and that no answer other than just profiling people based on their looks was provided as a way to tell if somebody was trans, and if I know that nobody should see any kind of genitals in the women's room because you should be in a stall, and so I don't know why you would be dropping your pants by the sink, would I now vote no on this floor amendment? Thank you.
The House will be in order. Sorry, I'm just going to start pausing every time they act up, and we can be here till 8 o'clock. Representative Leon's recognized for parliamentary inquiry. And if anybody is particularly angry or happy about what she said, I don't want to hear it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that this amendment addresses the concerns that were raised during the committee hearing, and if I know that this addresses the ambiguity that's already in statute, would I press the green button?
Questions on the adoption of floor amendment 1054H. This is a roll call vote. If you're in favor, press the green button. Opposed, press the red. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds. Have all members present had an opportunity to vote? The House will attend to the state of the vote. 183 in the affirmative, 162 in the negative. The amendment's adopted. Now the motion is ought to pass as amended. Representative Way is recognized to speak against the motion.
I recognize that there is pretty much nothing I can say to you now to change your vote, given the record that we have. But I would still like to take a moment to stand up for my community and say, these attacks will not end today, but they will end someday. There will be a day where our community is accepted, where our community is loved, and where these attacks will stop. And we are going to do everything we can for all of you to get your health care back, to stop the attacks that are baseless, that have no evidence, that frankly are targeted and purely political. That is what is happening right now. And the fight does not end here. We're going to continue it next week, and I'm sure I'm going to get sick of hearing my own voice on plenty of these bills, and frankly, I think it would be a better use of all of our time to focus on the issues that our constituents are actually struggling with. In 2024, which was a red wave election in some sense, there was polling done to see what voters' top issues that they cared about were. They ranked 22 different issues, things like healthcare, affordability, the economy, jobs, inflation, and 22nd out of 22 was trans people. People did not consider this a priority, but the people in this body do. They filed 5 bills to target trans people. I believe there were actually 5 that are just bathroom bills, 13 total, some of which are removing the X marker from driver's licenses, some of which are trying to describe our existence as an ideology. But we have existed for thousands of years, and we will continue to. And no legislation that gets passed today, no legislation around the country is going to stop that. So, once again, I'm asking you to vote no on OTPA today, and I ask for a roll call vote. Thank you.
Representative Leon is recognized to speak in support of the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The reason there are so many bills on this topic is not one of persecution. It's one of standing up and speaking for the 80% of Granite Staters who believe that little girls can be in bathrooms where only little girls are. This is widespread. This is not a Republican issue. It's not just an independent issue, and there are many Democrats who believe that little girls should be able to be little girls. I'm not even going to get into the definitions or anything like that, as we've taken a lot of your time, but thank you for standing up for the 80% of Granite Staters who want to make sure that bathroom signs actually mean something. Thank you.
Representative Wade requests a roll call. Is that sufficiently seconded? It is. This will be a roll call vote. Members, take your seats. Questions on the motion about to pass as amended on House Bill 1442. Representative Tur is recognized for a parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I know that the members in the chamber just heard me list off in a prior PI the many flaws in this legislation that deem it impossible to interpret, and if I know, which includes, by the way, still in the amended version RSA 21:3, which the sponsor acknowledged in committee was not an appropriate way of defining gender. And if I know that for all the reasons that the member from Dover listed, this bill would be wholly unenforceable and lead to significant invasions of privacy. Finally, if I know that the veto messages from the prior governor and the current governor included warnings to the state, such as inviting unnecessary discord and spurring a plethora of litigation against local communities and businesses, and that would be true on steroids with this version of the bill, would I now press the red button to defeat this motion and allow a better motion to be introduced? Thank you.
Representative Kofos recognized for parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I know that this bill provides a clear definition of biological sex, if I know that this bill defines improper purpose for asserting gender identity, and finally, if I know that passing this bill will provide the other body with multiple options to consider for sending along to the governor, would I then press the green button? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the motion about to pass as amended on House Bill 1442. This is a roll call vote, and if you're in favor, press the green button. Opposed, press the red. Voting stations are open for 30 seconds. If all members present had an opportunity to vote, the House will attend to the state of the vote. 181 in the affirmative, 164 in the negative. The motion is adopted. All right, so here's where we're at. I didn't count them, but it looks like about 25 bills left, which is a good day's work. Man, it's 3 o'clock. That was tense and emotional. We need to get into a mindset where we're just going to chug through these. So let's take a 10-minute recess, shake off whatever we need to shake off, and come back and just get through these together, because you are all in it together. The House in recess till 3:10.